Carol here, and welcome to my Bestie's January Design Team project. Here I'm showing you the acetate that I get at my local stationery store that I will be using on this project for you today. And this project is a start to finish on a floating heart card. If you want to see how I did the acetate, the double acetate that I'm using in the heart, please go back to the previous video, this one right here, and it'll show you how this is put together. It is two pieces of acetate with two different designs on each side put together, and I am going to make a floating card, and I'm going to show you how I do this on this beautiful thick acetate. Now it is a lengthy video because it is a start to finish on how to create this card, and we're going to do Copic coloring, loads and loads of fun. So I hope you stay with me for its entirety because I think you'll really enjoy it. I wanted to take this acetate heart and I wanted it to actually float in the center. And in order to do this, I'm going to need more than this amount of acetate. I'm folding it over to see if it will fit, but to get the look I'm going for, I'm going to have to create my own base. And this is going to be on total acetate. This card will have an acetate front and an acetate back, and it will be using the acetate that I made on the previous video. I encourage you to go look at it. It's truly unique. So here I am scoring the piece of acetate on the one side ½ inch. I'm putting some double-sided tape on here because I'm going to have to add another piece of acetate, so I have a front and a back element. The actual size of the card when it's finished is 6.5 by 8.5, but you're going to have to allow yourself some room on either side to be able to have the heart float in the center. And it's actually going to have an element that it does look like it's floating, but it does look like it's extended out like a 3D effect. Now here's where the floating comes into play. I put my little bee die, the large heart die, down on the acetate, and it is a 1/4 inch bigger than the actual acetate heart that we have here. And I kept thinking, how am I going to do this? Well, here's my Fiskars little hole punch. It punches out a 1/4 inch. I take my floss threader and I'm taking some super fine ribbon, and we are going to actually sew it into the air with the floss threader. Right here I'm taking my pokey tool and I'm going to measure each hole on either side. One poke will go into the acetate that's clear right here, and then I'm going to come down ½ inch, and I'm going to do this all the way around on the acetate card. The heart I will do after, because then I will have the total measurements. I will tape the heart down so that I can see exactly where the measurements run. And so you are going to have to take your, right here it's my T ruler, and I want it to be exact. And I just thought this card up, to believe it or not. Yes, I wanted it to float. I wanted to have the look that it was in the air, but obvious I didn't want it to sit on anything as far as the back. So the only way I thought of to do this was to sew it on with some beautiful, it's like a chenille type light green ribbon. Let me correct myself right here. That Fiskars hole punch punches out a 1/16 inch hole, a real tiny hole. So I just wanted you to know that. So here I'm taking it. You can see the fine little hole that it has. So when you punch it down, you just take your nail and push it out of the hole, and you go around there all the way around where you made those little pokes with your pokey tool. And this Fiskars little cutter is amazing. I'm just showing you. I push it down and then I pull it out of the whole element with my nail. So now I have it seated right here, and I am able to see those little pokes in the acetate card to be able to put them into my heart. See how I drag it from the acetate card over to the heart, and I poke them down, and then we are going to start to sew. Yes, with our little floss threader. I'm telling you, this project for the month of January with my besties, I really wanted to have an extremely feminine card for Sherry's stamped images, and I think I achieved that with this project. So here I am going around and remembering, if you watched the video previous to this, this is 2 layers of acetate on the heart. So I'm laying it down here just to make sure that they are lined up before I start to sew. I'm going to set that aside for just a minute, and I got out my We Are Memory Keepers, this beautiful embossed folder of hearts. It's deeply embedded. You're going to need that, especially on thick acetate. I ran a piece through that was approximately 4 inches of acetate to get the embedded hearts into it, because I wanted to have something on the top and something on the bottom of this floating heart other than clear acetate. And the only way I could think of it was to emboss another piece of acetate so that both of the elements were the same. Now we start to sew. I put my green thread in here, and how I'm going to do this, now this was through trial and error. This video, the reason why it is a tad long is because I worked on this for 2 days. So you can only imagine how many videos I had to edit down to this amount of time. I think it was about 9 hours worth of video to be able to bring it down to a watchable so that you could sit and enjoy the process. Here I'm cutting 24 strips of that beautiful, I think it's Stampin' Up! Ribbon. Actually, it's really pretty. It's very fine. It's see-through. It's nice. So I start at the bottom here. I am taking, this is pink. I picked out a nice thin pink satin ribbon, and I want to start the project. So I want to hold it exactly where it's going to be floating with that half an inch. I'm not sure if it's a half or quarter of an inch in there. So I grab my medical tape, and I am taping each side down so that I can lift it all the time as I'm sewing, and it will remain to be there. I'm just fixing it a bit. It will remain to be centered on the larger heart piece of acetate. So I'm holding it down with my pinchy tool here, and I am tying a bow at the bottom. Now this will be the only bow that I tie with the ribbon right here at the bottom, because I started to do it with the green ribbon going around, and I thought there has to be something faster and you know, looks even. That is the key to this project, that everything is measured properly and everything is even. So we'll get back to that. And now I'm going to move on to alcohol inking this beautiful acetate piece that is, there's my applicator, and I take felt from the dollar store, white felt, and I cut them all up for the bottom here to use on my alcohol inks. It's much more affordable than having to buy the Ranger ones, and it works perfectly, as you can see. So I'm taking my micro brush and my blending solution, and I'm dabbing with my micro brush right where those hearts are indented. Not that it's going to be a perfect heart, obviously not, because it's going to wick out into a circle, but I'm going to be able to see exactly where those hearts are to add the different colors and be able to texturize them just so they look a little bit more uniform, that when you look at this piece, you can see the emboss, the deep heart emboss. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to try this, and it did work. And I found that that tar gel, here I'm wiping it down, because you know what I'm going to do here, don't you? I'm using a piece of that Heartfelt Creation paper, and I am going to, every product that I use on here, I am going to tap it off on the paper so that I have another piece for another project at some time, because we are going to use modeling paste, and we are going to use the tar gel. Like, I love that stuff for sealing acetate. That is a wonderful sealant, and it is made by Golden. So here I am doing the back of it and adding more alcohol ink and it's hard to see. It comes out beautiful, but it's hard to see right here the beautiful emboss on that. So here's the golden tar gel. It's called clear tar gel. I slowed this down for you so you could see the name of it in case you were interested in it. It is great for sealing acetate, but a lot of other projects in mixed media as well. Here's the light molding paste. To date, this is one of my favorite. The creaminess is wonderful. And I've taken a Fiskars 12 by 12 heart stencils with different heart patterns on it. I got it at Michael's. I love this. Now here's my stainless steel applicators. One is not. One obviously is the fuse tool, but the other one looks similar to it, just doesn't have that hole in the stainless steel. And it is a beautiful applicator for applying on large areas. So now I am taking the hearts, I'm running them in different directions here. I'm going to take my heat tool to heat set them. So right here I heat it, then I go back so that I can add another layer of the molding paste. And one is seated in the actual emboss and one isn't. Now I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to grab the stencil, turn the stencil upside down so I can get the hearts going in the same direction. And looky, isn't that gorgeous? Now, you don't want to waste any of that paste. So grab it all, grab your inks, your alcohol inks, and your piece of paper. I cut this one down because I knew I was going to use the center of it right here that I had made a mess on. You don't want to throw anything out, especially doing mixed media. And I just went to town. Isn't it gorgeous? Yes. Then grab a piece of white cardstock because I did have more left over. I'm grabbing my stainless steel applicator here, and I ordered that online. And looky, it's kind of like a peach color. It's gorgeous. Okay, let's get back to the heart, the floating heart. I decided to tie a knot in each of them and then make my own bows so that all the bows were identical, exactly the same size, and this worked perfectly. So I take my green thread, or you can see here, my ribbon, and I go around tying knots because you're going to cover those knots with your pretty little ribbons that you sit and make. I think it ended up to be 24 of them. Now here I'm taking my floss threader and going down through the acetate card piece, up through the colored heart, and then I tie the knot one time, grab a glue dot, put it on top before I tie the final knot. And it secures it to the acetate and it makes the knot stay. I press down and looky, you have yourself a floating heart here. And it's gorgeous. And because of the way you pull it, if you pull it a little tighter, it's going to raise that heart up so it actually is three-dimensional and floating. Gorgeous. Love this design team project. I love taking you through making an acetate floating heart card. There I go down through the one piece, come up, grab the ribbon together, and then I'm going to tie it one time. I forgot to make the hole in that particular one. So I grabbed the glue dot, pulled it just a little tad tight, and look at that. You can see a little bit how it bulges up in the center because of the way you pull on the knot when you're applying it. So I'm going to do the last one or two here by sewing them on, and I am so happy with the beginning stage of this project. And it is the beginning stage, and I think you will enjoy it from the start to the finish because we're going to do some Copic coloring. We are going to do a whole lot of little techniques that I think you will be inspired to try this project with your acetate pieces and when you do your alcohol inking. Now I want to cut this in half, so I turned it over so it was on the other side. I wasn't touching the paste part of it, and making sure that they are even, which they're not, but I will remedy that right now. Love my little Fiskars cutter. This has been so good to me. And use your 40% coupon at Michael's and you pay next to nothing for that little critter. And I love Fiskar. I use the their great big sharpening one that's behind me. Nice crisp blade, that's what I wanted to say there. So I slid this one piece up. Now you notice it goes off the acetate. I don't want to cut anything even for now. So that doesn't mean anything to me that's going off the acetate, because we are going to cut down and align everything even at the end of the project here. So I know something's not right. Yes, turn over that piece of acetate, Carol. You've got one facing up and one facing down. Yeah, you need to have both of the stenciling pieces, the modeling. Yeah, there, I'm just grasping it. Oh, there it is. Yes. Now it's right here where I decide I'm going to start using some magnets. So we'll do that in just a minute. I'm going to take my 140-pound cardstock and my La France Stampin' Up! Background stamp, and I used my Versamark and I stamped this entire page with the Versamark and then white embossing powder. And then I do direct from ink to paper, just sliding my little distress mini cube over that much of it. This one I just need the top portion. So I did half, making sure that I took the ink down a couple of inches below, took a baby wipe and wiped all the ink off the top of that, put it behind there, and oh, I'm happy, because there, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have it not all the way up. I'm trying to decide here. Slide her down, Carol, and you will see I'm going in slow-mo here. I cut the heart out identical to the placement on the acetate. So I put the acetate on top, and then I used my medical tape to tape it down, and look it. It is perfectly even on here. See that? So you've got the shape so it matches. And now I am going to take another piece of 140-pound cardstock, my La France. Love this Stampin' Up! Background stamp. So pretty and feminine. And it matches Sherry Baldy's stamps and all of her products in the beautiful feminine line. And I end up doing this entire piece here. So instead of using white powder, I switched to the green, which is the Tim Holtz Distress Green. Just love the texture that this gives you with Tim Holtz Distress embossing powders. So I am pouring some of it over top. I want to fill this whole sheet with the script image. It's so pretty. And you're going to take the center out for the heart, so it doesn't matter if it matches. And now look at that one. I needed to fill them up again with the Versamark refills, and I just turned them upside down. This little acrylic thing I got, it's a nail polish acrylic I got at the dollar store, and I just rubbed them in, and look how dark that one is I'm using. And that's because the La France stamp was not cleaned well enough, and it had some black ink on it. So I always use that one if I'm not sure the stamp is clean. Now I'm buffing it with the Red Barn Door with the shaver thingy dingy, yes, that I scooped up from my hubby. And I just gives you a nice look. And then be careful when you go over it with your baby wipe, because the texture on that embossing powder is raised, and you don't want to, rip your baby wipe on it and try picking that out. So now I want to cut that hole so it's perfectly even. So I slide my little bead die underneath the image. I grab some microcord tape, and I put it on already, so that all I had to do was tap it down, and I cut it out, and I put double-sided glue all over it, and the La France goes on the back here. Look at, I've got green on one side and I have the white on the other. Just beauteous. Take some double-sided tape here for the back side, and see how I cut it off? I'll show you why I cut that off. Run it all the way up, butt it up to the edge, and now I'm going to cut it just below that. I think it's 3 inches down that piece. I'm cutting it off, and I'm going to make sure that that line is nice and straight, because I am going to put this on as well underneath there. So I am securing it to make sure it's all even. See how it sticks out on either side? That's what I'm saying. When you work on a project like this, don't make things accurate until the very end. So I'm sliding it down, and I'm going to need to cut that heart out right there. So I grab some microcord tape again. I tape this down so it's even. I put my die on top because that's going to be butt up to the green edge there. And I'm sorry, to the bottom of that acetate pink piece. I run that through my die cutting machine so that when it slides up right there, see how it's even? And just loved that look. Now I'm cutting off the pieces that had the tape on it that I don't want to be shown, and we are going to follow through with the next part. Right here I am lifting up the cardstock because I want to put some of these fantastic magnets underneath. I'm going to start with one magnet in the center there under the little ribbon, but then I go magnet crazy. Throughout the whole project, I start to get my mojo going, and there is no stopping me. Yeah, love this project for my besties. I encourage you to please go over and check out Sherry Baldy's site. She has more than just stamps. You can get beautiful vintage papers and powders and stamps, and all at 50% off. It's amazing. So now I've got my double-sided tape. This is from Walmart. I love using this from Walmart because it does not show through as much on acetate as the rest of tapes that I have used. So I want to make sure it's nice and sticky and you can't see through it, and here's where the fun begins. I put this on like so over top of the green piece. I flip it down, and here's the front. I cut along the edge on the outside, and I put a little magnet underneath there. And now I'm going to place this piece down. I want it to be to match the upside. Oh, we're doing it all over again. Look at that. Yes, the beauty of editing. You want to take your bone folder. I'm using my Teflon bone folder because it doesn't leave any marks on paper, and it is really nice to use on acetate. I'm cutting off the bottom portion where the magnet was right here. I'm going to show that, I guess, this time. And I applied a little magnet underneath, and I will show you how I disguise it later on in the project. I am having way too much fun creating this. I love when you take a project and you start to finish, it is your thoughts, your inspiration. And I mean, I'm not saying that somebody else hasn't thought this up, but I didn't see it if they did. And kudos to them if they did. But here I just sat down in my craft room for a couple of days and went crazy wanting to design a floating heart acetate card. And this is what I came up with. So I'm putting it down here, and like I want to bring to remembrance, don't worry about the sides. You want to make them wider than your actual card is going to be, just in case there's any mistakes on it. So now this is going on top of the back piece of acetate. So we're going to have to add some more double-sided tape, and this is my Walmart tape, 1/4 inch, because you don't see it as much. And now I want to add some of my Stampin' Up! Little wee pearls all the way up the inside of the heart. And how I did it here was I did one medium size to one, not the teensy weens. I don't think it's the teensy weensy. I have to see here. It might be, no, the one down from the teensy weensy, and then the one up from the really big. How's that? And I went along the entire heart on this side, because when I turn it over, I'm going to do each side. I'm going to do on the heart, and I'm also going to add pearls along the actual acetate piece that is the card right here. So I grab my little cutter knife that I got at the dollar store. You get 6 of those little knives, 4 or 6 for $1.25, because as we know, nothing is $1 at the dollar store. I haven't found it. And I go around with these large pearls. These are recollection pearls, and this is outside the heart. And can you see the reason why I put this in the film? See how it's raised up? Just by tightening that ribbon, you allow that piece of acetate to float, and all of that 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, I'd have to measure it, that is open from one side of the pearls to the other side of the pearls there is raised up. I absolutely went wild when I saw this happening as I was tying the knots in it. So I added my Martha Stewart heart. You get these in a package at Michael's. They're gorgeous. They're already embossed and the frillies and everything on them. They're beauteous. I added them there, and why, you ask? Because I'm going to put magnets underneath them, yes. So I set a positive magnet so the positive side is facing me. I took off the back, and then I'm going to add another Martha Stewart heart right there. Oops, over top. Switch it around, Carol. Yeah, right there, so that the negative side, I don't know what I'm doing here. Let's do it again. Oh, I decided to put some of my glue from my glue gun, and I'm making sure I'm doing this right, because you know with magnets, yes, there you go. I put the magnet towards the inside, I press it down, and yeah, I think, yeah, I had to peel it off because the negative and the positive, I had to make sure were right. So now I have it on there properly. I put a nice heart on that side, and then I lay it over top and I glue it right here so that they match perfectly. Lay it down, and there you go. Yes, you have another magnet on the other side. The negative and the positive will clasp together. Love these Martha Stewart hearts. And there, look at, boing, boing, boing. You have yourself magnets on each side. Oh, I don't stop there. Wait till the project gets going. I go into magnet crazy heaven. I love it. I love using magnets. And the reason why I wanted to secure this with magnets, you will see, because this is going to be a 4-sided card. You know I always do every side of my cards. When you flip this, it's going to magnetize on the back for a completely different look. I absolutely loved this design team project. So now I use my teensy weensy little pearls from Stampin' Up. Aren't they cute? You just cut them with your little cutter, and looky looky, I do each side of the hearts. Oh, one bounced off on me. There you go. Put it back and then press it down and do the other side. Is this not feminine? Oh my. You couldn't get a prettier card if you ordered it. Well, I designed it, so I kind of am prejudiced. There you have it, my friends. You have a magnet in the center underneath that little pink heart. I'm going really fast, aren't I? There. Whew. I was getting tired watching myself there. Okay, so now I got out some of my sticky art, my plastic sticky art, and I start decorating above the hearts. You just have to. It's there. It's open space. It's just there. It's your creative, flowing, inspirational goodness just starts coming out as you start using this sticky stuff. I love it. It's kind of like a vinyl. It's vinyl art. Let's go with that. I put some leaves, little butterflies, the heart, there's a little butterfly, and then I decorate all the little holes on them with teensy weensy pearls, of course. And wait till you see what I do with the pearls after this. I was having too much fun. Now I did see that little pearl missing out of the heart on the left side there, yes. I must have knocked it when I was putting this beautiful vinyl art down, but I will remedy that later on, soon as I catch up with that. There it is. Yep, it came back. And now I'm adding the teensy weensy Stampin' Up! Little pearls. Love those things. And I'm adding them to all the little centers there on the butterflies on each side. I did the left, now I'm doing the right. And this is like, oh, it's just beauteous. I can't take my eyes off it even when I am editing it. I am loving it. And I'm not bragging, I'm just saying sometimes our inspiration gets going and our mojo, and the beauty of using anything that is my besties just brings out the feminine side to any creator, don't you think? So now we have the bottom acetate, we have the beautiful magnet behind those hearts, and I'm sticking my finger through to show you how it is an actual floating heart. And I clip it like that just to show you. There's the back that we're going to begin decorating. I grabbed some of this Stampendous vinyl stickers, and I saw one in beautiful, beautiful vintage appeal right there, and it's in black, and I put it across there because when the light hits that pattern through the acetate, it's beautiful. And if you watch the previous video showing how I did create the center heart, you know I punched out all of this. I die cut all of these little hearts to use up the leftover vinyl, and now I'm applying it to the spot where the magnet sets right there. And then I added some vinyl flower on the back of that pink bow, and I am taking some more vinyl stickers, and I'm going around the outer edge. And I did take a Copic marker and go around the inside of the cardstock because you don't want to see any white cardstock, right? And so I grabbed a cream colored Copic marker and went around the edges. And now I thought this looked like pearls. It went along with the theme. And then look at, I ran out. It ran out right there on the bottom. I didn't have another line. I'm looking, and I thought, uh-oh, okay, let's get inventive here. I grabbed a Martha Stewart lace butterfly. Yes, I went into my stash, and it was the perfect size. Don't you love when that happens? Now I grabbed that little lace butterfly by Martha Stewart. I get these at Michael's in a little bag, and it fit perfectly. I just loved the look. There it is. I didn't use the small one, I used the large one. And they're so fine and so pretty. It's absolutely beautiful. And I put some of my glue gun glue behind it and tapped it on there. And I think it was made for that spot. That's probably why I ran out of the vinyl. I take some of those little Stampin' Up! Pearls, ran it down the body of the butterfly, and there you go. Just adding a little bit more glue to make sure that that doesn't come up, like to lay across the other way, and I think it's gorgeous. And there's the inside. There's the pearls on the front. Now this is the front side. And when you flip it open, right here, I'm just going to show you, I added pearls to some of the die cuts too. On the bottom there, I put some die cuts on that acetate part right there beside the stenciling. And I'm showing you that the magnets right there, I put a flower over top. I added magnets there. I put a heart on the top. Yes, you had to have another heart. Isn't that piece gorgeous when you lift it up like that? And here's the back. I added the little My Besties. I cut that out of a piece of paper to have the little bird. Added some, I'm just showing you with my hand there that it's see-through. You flip it over to the back and you've got the gorgeous butterflies. But I wanted to have magnets so that you had 4 cards in one. You will be able to get 4 different looks if you set this on your mantle. Every day, for 4 days, you can have a different looking card. Is that not awesome? So back to my little magnets, back to my Martha Stewart little embossed hearts. They're gorgeous, and I wanted to be able to flip this over to get the look on the back side so that one day you could just see the inside of the card, right? And there you have it, even. And then I go to the other side, grab another heart, and I add a magnet to the opposite side of this back portion. I'm telling you, it turned, like when you flip it over, it flipped over with total ease. And now I've got it down. Now I've got this magnet thing down on how to do it. And you want to hold it on the back side, place it down when you put some glue on it, and run that down so it's even. And looky, you have 4 different cards in one. I always do them. I don't know why I make a big deal of it, but when I do vintage cards, I always do every side of my card. And I think this acetate floating card just added to the element of the whole design to be able to flip this over and have a completely different look. And guess what? Here we go. I sat down and tied these little bows. I grabbed my Copic markers, a light green and a light pink, to go over top of the beautiful pearls. I don't want them to all be stark. They're not white, they're kind of a cream. But I am adding the teensy little bows that I tied separately. I wanted to have the green tie and the pink bow. It just matched so perfectly. And green and pink, for some reason, there they are there, in the light tones. Isn't it gorgeous? So I tied everyone first, not worrying if they were precise yet. I will take out my, I have cutting scissors that I use only right here. I got these at Michael's and they're only for ribbon. And I use them on fussy cutting as well, but a ribbon and fussy cutting, and they cut just beautifully. And now when I lifted up the tail end of the bow to make sure all of them were even, I went around and I put the hearts on every piece of tied ribbon green so that it was green and pink. And that is girly, isn't it? Pearls and hearts and fun, and there's everything in here. So now I started taking my light pink Copic. I can't remember which color family this was in, but it was really light. I went over all of the outer pearls in between the pink bows with the light pink. It just gave it enough so when the light hit it, it had beautiful, beautiful pink color. And then on the outside ones, I do them green, and I flipped it over to make sure each side that had pearl, oh, boink, boink, yes, the middle one boinks too. And there I showed you how the inside looked, held it upside down to show you that these magnets hold like crazy. Now we're going to do something right there. But I'm going to do some Copic coloring, and I will come back because it will be the end of the video. Thank you everybody for joining me. Get yourself a tea and relax, and I will color my bestie's image for you. See you in a minute. everybody, I'm back. Thank you so much for joining me for this entire video. I added my Pico embellisher and clear, and look at that. I added to all the areas I wanted to accentuate: the hair, the bow, the little band across her head, and I think it was a perfect match. But don't forget the bows. Yes, she has to have pretty pink bows in her hair. Love this. Oh, Sherry, your images are absolutely stunning. So I put two little cutesy wootsy little bows holding her hair. Love Copic coloring curly hair, don't you? It's amazing. And there you have it, my friends. And to get those puffy pink cheeks, what you do is you add your mid-tone to the bottom and your dark tone underneath the head, and you will get your little pink cheeks will pop. So here's a stamp that I had. Don't ask me what stamp set this is from. I know I got it at Michael's, but it was a crown on top of a heart with flourishes. It all came together. Remember that black flourish strip I put on the bottom of the acetate? Looky! So I grabbed my vintage embossing powders. I had the vintage pink and vintage black gray. So pretty. And I stamped out both images. I added both of the, look at the sparkle come out on that. Ah, to see it in real life. And I wanted to make magnets out of these. So I added my Pico embellisher just around so I didn't touch the top of the powders, just so that the sparkle, I didn't lose any of that beautiful, beautiful sparkle. I heat set that and let it sit for a little bit. I fussy cut them out. And now I took the back of my little Bestie image and I took some of my distress inks. I went over the back of all of them so that through the acetate, right, you don't want to see white cardstock. I always cover my white cardstock. And now we're going to add those little white hearts that I did from the previous video showing you how I used all of the leftovers. And that just really quickly was the Michael's magnets, that they're really flat but they're not strong enough, and I just wanted to show you what they look like. So here I took distress ink. I went over the pink, the white heart with embossing powder on it. I did that one of them pink and one of them gray. I put the gray on the pink and the pink on the gray. Yes, I'm going so fast I'm going to have to talk really fast. So here comes the magnets, and we're going to put that after I put my Besties on. Now see how I flipped that over looking at me? Now when you put it down, guess who you're going to see on both sides of the card? Yes, look. You're going to see her, you're not going to see the pink through there. And on the back, she shows up on the back. And when you flip the card, she shows up on the other side. Oh, it is so, so crazy beauteous. Yeah, I'm just looking at it there, setting it up. Isn't she sweet with those little bows? And it wasn't too much because the bows are on the other side, right? Around that heart. So when I flip her here and it grabs the magnets, really pretty. So I needed something for that little space. So I took my Besties, Sherry Baldy My Besties, little insignia up there on the right beside the Pico embellisher. I'm just making these into magnets now. And the pink one here, oh yeah, I put the gray heart with the embossing on it there. It's going to magnetize on each side. You can switch them up which color you want, right? So every day for 4 days you have a different looking card. I set it there and I knew it had to have that little oval on it. Look at that. Oh, so pretty. And then I take it, boop, it just magnets right on there. So I take that little heart, I'm looking at it there, and there you go. I'm just giving you a quick peek at how pretty it looks. And I want to add Sherry's My Besties on that heart. But I add it to, not the black one, I add it to the light one in a minute. So it's sitting on my pokey tool right underneath there. So I'm just kind of viewing it all at the last minute just to see how this is going together. It just flipped up and there's the little bird in the corner. That's her beautiful vintage paper, Sherry's. Beautiful. and you have that embossing, you have the pearls on the top. When you flip it over, you have a look on every side of the card that shouts Sherry Baldy, doesn't it? And I put little corners up there with the pearls. Those are gold sticker art, the corners that I put on the top there. And you'll see that in the pictures at the end. And here I'm taking my magnets now, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, if I slide that up and I put this little Sherry Baldy My Besties little oval right there, I put glue on one and then I push it forward so that it makes an oval. Look at that. You could put a pen in there. I mean, you could do a lot of things with that. And there's the magnet on the back. I grab it, I set it right there, look at, and then when you close it, look at this. You have the gray on the opposite side. Now I slide it, I switcheroonius right here. I slide it up on the back portion. I grab the magnet, stick the magnet, because the magnet will go anywhere that that cardstock is, and you've got Sherry Baldy My Besties. You have the elements right here of all of Sherry's goodness. You'll be able to take this and use either side because they're magnetized. Love the crown. I just like everything about this four-sided floating card. And look at, see how it stands up by that piece of acetate in the back? Because I made it 4 inches shorter, you can use it as a stop if you're going to set it up. And I want to thank everybody over on My Besties. I love being on the YouTube design team. I'm glad I could share some of this with you. I hope you go over and check out Sherry's site. I left everything in the description. And here's what you see through the back. And I set that on there so you could see the gray part. There's all the little die cuts. So pretty. And there you have it, my friends. Please enjoy the photos at the end, and we will see you in February for my next design team project. Take care, everybody.